get all a little afraid up by saying, "Oh no, egg whites." But it's a great cocktail. It adds a lot of creamy texture to it, as well as just really softens up the flavor profile. So we're going to start with the old fashioned. I have what we call a Yari mixing glass. The Yari is actually it's a pattern on the glass. That's how it got named. So then we're going to add a little Demerara. So the Demerara syrup is just going to be what we use is one part, one part. You can do 2 parts sugar to 1 part water to make it again a little thicker, creamier texture. It doesn't really affect the flavor profile whatsoever. But Demerara basically is going to be raw sugar. So you can do the
Okay.
raw turbinado sugar, or you can use brown sugar. And in the fall aspect, I think brown sugar plays off really well. But
Mm.
if it's not fall and it's any other time of the year, I would say try to use a turbinado sugar, especially because that brown package when you go to the coffee shop,
Yeah.
sugar, that's turbinado sugar. So that's probably the best way to do it. I have a little what we call mixing glass. I'm sorry. So this is what we call a measuring tool here in jigger. So it's just about a quarter ounce of that terminal sugar or demerara sugar that's been mixed with. You can make your own pumpkin pie spice, seasoning or spice if you want. It's so much easier just to buy it in the grocery stores because it's a lot of technique and a lot of things. Just a little pinch of that just to add that flavor profile. Um, in my opinion, like there's certain cocktails that if you make it from scratch from at home, it just really punches out the flavor. But there's other things like with the pumpkin spice, the pumpkin pie seasoning. That's really hard to duplicate. The other thing about it is the ones that you buy at the store actually really has that flavor profile to punch out at you. You know, you can
Mm.
really smell the pumpkin and the spice and the allspice and everything in there, with the cloves and the cinnamon. So that works out really well. So we have that aspect in there. Then what you want to do now is get some I call it a mid-level tier whiskey, bourbon, or rye. If you like the spicier, go with the rye. It goes really well. But I see people always asking me, should I use a more expensive bourbon or whiskey for my cocktails? And you do you. I mean, if that's your thing, if you want to do it, absolutely go for it. I'm not going to ever say no to my guests. If that's what you want to do, I'll make it for you that way, even you're at home. But my professional opinion, a mid-level tier if you're making cocktails. Now, if you're going to be sipping it by fireplace, just pure, we want to do like an Ocean's Age, Jefferson's Ocean's Age, or Patty Van Winkle, then by all
Right.
means, yes, just put it on the rocks or a little bit of water or just neat, with nothing in there. But I mean, just like Buffalo Trace, Angels of Envy, any of those things, even Jack Daniels, they all work out really well. But here, since we're in Tennessee, I want to promote local products. So we're going to do the Nelson's Greenbrier, which is what
Oh,
yeah, it's a very good whiskey that we make here in Nashville. So
yeah. They just reopened their distillery.
that is correct. That is correct. It's beautiful, by the way, if you ever get a chance to
I
tour
haven't
it.
been over there yet, but I heard that they just reopened.
So it's going to be 2 ounces. Now, it's just a quarter ounce of your Demerara and the 2 ounces of your bourbon choice or whiskey choice. And I'm going to show you this. It's right in there in that little mixing glass. What I'm going to do is add some ice. Now, this is the other thing about ice. We can really geek out on this and find out the type of ice you use is really crucial in terms of what kind of cocktail you want to make. We use here at the Frey Hotel, we use hard, large cube ice because the dilution factor is much softer, if it was slower. So we're just gonna mix this right there. See that? You don't want to just kind of grind it in there real aggressively because what that does is like almost doing like a soft shake. You just want to guide the ice across. It's a smooth, silky finish. About 20 rotations is fine. And that's really critical if you ever want to make a really good cocktail. If it tastes too strong, that means you didn't dilute it enough. But we call that in our industry, we call it stretching the cocktail. There should be about 20 to 33% water content to actually make it more palatable, more tasty. You don't want to overwhelm the flavor profile unless that's what your intentions are. But I get a lot of complaints for like home mixologists or home bartenders that come and visit our establishments. I can't taste the booze because, well, of course not, because it's all in there. You saw me making it, but we do it so that it doesn't punch you in the mouth, if you will. So it's just
Mm.
like the most nice and sexy. So we're gonna get we call it in the industry a double rocks glass. This is an X1, so you see the large ice cube format right there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can yeah, you can use if you have ice molds from like the kitchen stores, supply stores. You can do the round balls. You can do the big square cubes. Again, you do you. This is your time to make your cocktail. But we use these, and it's a slow dilution, and it's actually beautiful. So with that, Sorry, I'm
So tell me, do you ever do the smoky ones? I know that's like a trend right now. Everybody's doing the smoky drinks. Are you doing that?
We do. We have a smoker here, so we have a smoking gun. We have a smoking tray. Or you ever see the ones where they kind of put it down the
Yeah,
lid?
like the little glass dome.
All kinds of ways of doing that. Yes, we do that. One of the biggest problems that we've seen with those smoking guns or smoking old fashions, if you will, is the fact that when one person sees one, now you have a group of 20 that all come at you one. It's a time consuming aspect of making a cocktail. And so it's no fun for bartenders when they see this going on. But even if it's just a one-on-one intimate setting, I love doing that just because of the fact that it's like a show.
Yeah.
We feel like every cocktail being made, it should hit all the five senses. It should look good, smell good, taste good, feel good, and sound good. Believe it or not, with those stirring aspect, the shaking. So I have an orange right here. I have a peeler. You can use a knife if you want, but in our industry, this is much easier. You're gonna get a nice, clean, we call a swab right there. Now, if you go to a lot of places, they might have dehydrated fruits and whatnot. Um, I'm not a very big component or proponent of dehydrated foods. What I like to do is this is called shearing pattern, like fabric scissors. If, I'm not sure if you can see that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So all I'm doing now is just trimming the edges. I can do that right here so you can see it. Just trimming the edges, and what that does, look how fast that was. But it makes it look so much more fancier. So that
Yes.
on there, right there, and we just want to, the outside of the skin is where the oil, the essential oils are. So you're just gonna squeeze right above the cocktail. I'm just gonna rim it so you can smell it as well as see it.
So when you squeeze it, it kind of gives a little bit of that oil in the drink, right?
That is correct. And that's the aromatic effect of the cocktail itself. You have a little star anise as well as a cinnamon stick that we just kind of pop on top. I hope you can see that. I'm going to just rotate that so you can see it.
Yes.
How easy was that? I'm not trying to make anything, I'm not trying to invent the wheel. I'm not trying to make it really complicated. I want to do it so that it's very approachable as well as that anyone at home seeing this on your site can see, oh, well, I can do that. It's not that hard. And it really is. You can really
You make it look so easy.
well, it really is that easy. It's not that complicated. It was never meant to be that complicated. There are cocktails like you're smoking old fashioned. It's a little bit more tricky, but shit, let me see. Smells good, looks good. Oh. And so again, that allspice or what we call the pumpkin season spice, just a hint of it. You don't want to overpower it. It's like anything else in life. Everything in subtle amounts is just
Just a
wonderful.
little. Yes.
Absolutely. So cheers to
Looks
you. That's
amazing. All right. What
Now,
else?
it's a little bit more fun. We're gonna do the whiskey sour, and I know there's some bartenders out there that's been watching your program going, "Wait, who's doing that wrong?" Just stick with me, and I'll tell you the whole reasoning behind what we do, why we do it. Because if they ever want to challenge me, they can contact me directly, and don't do that.
You're like, no, not really.
So these are what we call our mixing tins, if you will. So we have the smaller one and the larger one here. This is a 16 ounce, it's a 32 ounce. You can cap right there. So traditionally speaking, a lot of bartenders are taught when you use an egg white cocktail or when you do an egg white cocktail to make sure that you dry shake it, meaning that there's no ice in here. All the ingredients are in here. Then you shake it, then you open it up, put in the ice, and then you double shake it after that. However, after 33 years of doing this, we in the industry found out that there's a better way of doing it to make it frothier, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm going to do today for you, just so that you can see the whole difference and effects of what this thing will look like. Now, oh, excuse me. This is a coupe glass, and here at the Fray, they chill it. Um, I personally would not chill these glasses because what cold and heat does to alcohol, it masks the flaws. This is why, as Americans, we drink ice cold beer because you're trying to mask all the flaws, make it nice and cold and refreshing. However, try and drink a Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Lite, or Michelob Ultra room temperature, and tell me how refreshing that is. You can see all the little flaws and nuances, right? So anyway, so this is a coupe glass, which by the way is I'm not sure this is appropriate to say, but Marie Antoinette or Queen Elizabeth, one of the two big figures, how it got its shape is it's supposed to fit their boot. It was their boot size. So it's a fun fact. I know it's inappropriate. Sorry, kids. So we're going to put the glass right there for you, and then here is the a real egg. I'm showing you that
You're gonna
real egg.
crack the egg in front of us.
Correct. So I'm going to crack it, and basically, I get a lot of people saying that, oh, what about the salmonella aspect and whatnot? So you're just gonna go back and forth just to get the egg whites in there. We can do like a flip cocktail or Rainbow Spitz next time with the whole egg in there, with the egg yolk as well. But you don't need that much of the egg whites, just a little bit. It's just the egg white that you're using. And they're always worried about the salmonella aspect. And so this is the egg is a pure food. There's nothing more pure than this food here. It's got protein. It's just a perfect food. The salmonella aspect of it's going to be on the outside of the shell, and after the chicken lays the egg. And everything inside is totally sterile, totally pure. So please don't be afraid. If you're still a little skeptic about that, then go ahead and wash your egg in the outside. That's fine. But everything inside that egg is sterile and pure. So now that the egg white is in there, I'm going to put some fresh lemon juice. It's going to be just 1 ounce of fresh lemon juice. And again, I have a team actually squeezing all the lemons here.
So
So
it's
that's why.
fresh.
Oh, it is fresh. We don't. I don't like using concentrated lemon juice or not, but there's so much stores at the Whole Foods and whatnot that they actually sell fresh lime juice, fresh lemon juice, and it's the best way to do it. However, if you want to actually squeeze your own, there's a little hand squeezer they have at home. Absolutely, that's how I do it at home. But a little hint: don't do cold fruit. Make sure it sits out room temperature for a while, and then cut it in half, and then squeeze the fruit juice out of it. It'll yield 33% more juice. I have a lot of
Really? Oh, that's good to know. I did not know that.
a lot of young bartenders will when we teach them, they'll start juicing their own juice. And what happens is that it's cold. And they're like, wait a minute, how come I'm getting less yield than when you do it? And I said, well, did you make sure it was room temperature? They're like, oh no. So we have two fruits out there in our kitchen. We have one that's sitting there in cases in room temperature wise. And then we have the ones that's in the refrigerator for garnishes and for everything that the chef needs it for. So yeah, so we have all kinds of things going on here. Now we talked about the raw sugar. This is just pure cane sugar, which is the white sugar, if you will. So white sugar, equal parts warm water to your volume with the white sugar to get. So it's a one-on-one. It's simple syrup. So it's just sugar water. So we do 1 ounce of this as well. So just to recap, one egg white, one lemon juice, one simple syrup. Super simple, right? So now because you do that one-on-one aspect, this is where it gets a little more technical. 1 plus 1 equals 2. So now we're going to use 2 ounces of our Tennessee whiskey, Nelson's Greenbrier. And no, they don't give me any money, but I do like their product. She gets some sponsorship going, right? So we'll put that on the side right there for you. So all the ingredients are in here now. So it's ready to go. Let's put a little proponent to it. I want to just kind of make it really more festive, to show you how easy it is. I'm going to add 3 or 4, let's go 4 blackberries in there. I guess I should have done that first, but I was just so caught up in just talking. I'm just going to muddle that in there, just kind of a little. If it's an overripe fruit, ours is not that overripe. If it's an overripe fruit of any source, then it's going to be a little sweeter. So just keep that into account. So now this is where it gets a little untraditional. I'm
You're
actually
gonna
gonna,
shake it?
I'm gonna put the ice in here first.
Oh, you're gonna put the ice in there.
So the ice goes in there because remember, traditionally speaking, we as bartenders were taught to not shake it with ice first. So now it's capped on good. The smaller cap goes toward you, the back, because if this ever falls apart, you don't want the guest getting spilled. You're at home, right? If I'm talking to guests at home, I don't want anything going on them. So what's now? So I'm just gonna shake it. And always smile when you're shaking it. Because I see bartenders like, this angry
That's
face,
part of the presentation.
Sure, it's not easy. We're just gonna crack that open, and we're gonna strain this back into the small tin. Can you see that color at all? A nice little purple hue.
Yes, I do see that.
We're gonna see that finished on this as well. So watch this. Okay. So what I did was I discarded all that ice. So now there's no ice. See, there's no ice. So I'm gonna recap it. Now I'm gonna dry shake it.
So you shake it twice.
Yes, yes. For egg white cocktails you do, but traditionally speaking, they do this first, the dry shake, then they do it with ice. But it doesn't yield.
Okay. You kind of mix it up there.
Correct. I wish I could take credit for it, but I wasn't. It wasn't really me that that invented that technique. Uh, Now with a piece of fruit, I'm just using that sustainability, right? I'm using the same orange that you got the peel out of, and I'm just gonna rim the outside of this glass like so. I see a lot of bartenders, they rim the top of the rim, but what happens is whatever you're trying to get on there, if you pour your cocktail in there, it kind of like if you're putting like a margarita with salt, the salt will go inside a cocktail, and you don't want that. You want the outside of it. And incidentally, you always want to half rim it. Don't go full rim it because just in case your guest doesn't want that seasoning or whatever you have on there, then they can drink it off of the other side. If that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So we have, well, I just made a little sugar with some of that pumpkin spice on there. So I'm just gonna,
Ooh,
I'm gonna go 2 parts sugar, 1 part pumpkin spice. Can you see that nice little, see it also
yes.
the glass? So
So that's pretty simple, and but it looks really fancy. It looks like you
correct,
did a lot of work.
correct. That's all it is. And now, because I added the blackberries here, uh, I'm going to get that Hawthorne strainer back in there. Right there, you can see that. And then I
Mm.
have a second strainer. Now you don't have to do this, but I mean, I like to do this just to keep it nice and clean. So we'll do that. Let's get much color. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. See, that's just perfect portion too. This we in the industry we call this a wash line. I'm not sure if your guests can see that, but you don't want to go all the way to the top. You want just like a quarter of an inch gap because especially when you're trying to serve a guest and trying to reach over and it just spills everywhere. That's no fun for anyone. So now I have a fresh lemon and we're gonna do the same thing. This time I'm gonna switch it up on you a little bit. So we got a lemon swab. I'm gonna just trim it.
I love those trimmers.
Right? And it's so easy. It's so easy to do. That's how quick it was. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slit right in the center. And what that does, that little slit in the center, that now on the opposite side of the ribbing, I can actually put the little
Oh,
lemon
you're gonna
swab.
attach it to the glass there?
Correct. Just make a
Oh,
little fancy little thing right there going on. Hopefully we can send you a picture of this and so you can see it. But one thing I forgot to do, remember, is a little lemon oil aspect to it, top of it. Finish it off. Then we have some cocoa bitters. So this is a finished cocktail, by the way. I don't want anyone just go, oh my, any cocoa bitters? No, you don't need any of that stuff. I just put the cocoa bitter on top, just to kind of the aromatic effect of the lemon or orange, whichever goes your boat. So I'm not trying to lift this up to see if you can see that. Can you see that? Okay.
oh yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
that's the finished product right there. Now, because you're at the fray, we have to do a little bit more. So what I like to do is add a little cinnamon stick in there because spices in there, and just so they know what fruit is in there, what I do all the time is attach the fruit that I muddled so that they can actually see that it was that fruit.
wow,
That is making
that is a creation. I love it.
again we need to smell good, which is that it smells good, looks good, tastes good, feels good, and sounds good, right? Cheers. Was there any questions I can help?
Wow, man, too bad I'm not there. Hey, tell everybody where they can come visit you and check out these drinks you have for the fall.
Absolutely. We do there's actually a class that we do here. Um, I don't exactly know what days they are, but they can see it online. It's just like a mixology class where we teach you the little basics, and if they're a little more advanced, I can go actually really geek out on them and show them how to make cocktails at home and where the history of the cocktail is from, like the old fashioned is invented in 1886, and how it got named and whatnot. So we can talk about all kinds of stuff. It's just, again, I like to talk. It's no problem. So it's not that, yeah. So if they want to come by and talk to me about things of that nature, I'm all ears. I love to talk to my guests about things, about the history of the cocktails, how it's formed, and how to make it taste better, how to make it more what we call balanced and whatnot. So yeah, it's great.
We will add the link in here if people want to come by and learn how to make their own. You can like be fancy at home, have your friends over. They'll think like you just did this all on your own.
Absolutely. Well, Donna, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me
Hey,
on.
hey, thanks for showing us that. And if you don't want to go to the class, you just want to come and have a drink, I'm sure you'll be happy to make us a drink too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
All right,
cheers,
we'll
everyone.
see you soon.